So we're going to do a kind of a very simple version of a power steering fluid flush. Really a flush. I'm just going to remove some fluid out of the reservoir manually with my wife's turkey baster. She has no idea I stole it. I was just cleaning it with some soap and she'll never know. So I'm going to pull out old fluid and extract it and dump it into my oil receptacle here, and then I'm going to pull as much as I can and then replace it, top it off with new fresh fluid. I'll do this in between oil changes. Eventually I will have replaced all of the fluid in there. I just don't feel like going underneath the car and loosening the banjo bolt attached to the power steering rack and draining it that way. That's the proper way of doing it, but this works just as well. The only thing that I won't be able to do is inside this canister, there's actually a filter at the bottom. I won't be able to replace that because it's built into the canister. So short of actually removing this altogether, which you could do after you drain all the fluid out of it, that will kind of stay there for a bit. But if I continually put new fluid in there, the filter should last for a long time. So again, I sucked out a bunch of it already. Pull some out, try to work neat. As you can see, the fluid's pretty good. I mean, it's only got about 30,000 miles on it, but that's just about the right time to actually change it. Then I'll clean up around it, and then I will top it off. I like to use the genuine stuff. You can get this at your dealership. It's Dextron 4. So I've removed as much fluid as I could. Now I'm just going to top it off again with the OE fluid. I have this little handy fluid extension tube, so it doesn't spill it all over the place. You don't want to fill it to the top. I'm going to get to a certain point and then I'm going to stop, because I'm going to use the dipstick that's built into the top of the cap and measure the max line. So I'm basically done now. What I did was after I put some fluid in there, I stopped. I used the dipstick that's built into the cap here, and you'll see that there's marker lines. I want to keep the fluid in the middle of that, because eventually when the fluid gets hot, it expands a little bit, and if you put too much in there, it'll actually leak out. There's a hole here, a drain hole or vent hole, so I don't want that to happen, make a mess. And that's pretty much your power steering fluid flush. The other thing you can do, people advise, is as you drain the fluid out, you start the car and you manually turn the wheel a little bit to get the pump flowing and circulate some of the fluid. You could do that. I didn't, because I'm going to do this fairly often, where I feel like I'm going to replace all the fluid anyway. The fluid's so cheap, like I don't mind actually wasting a bottle or two going through it. And that's it for the power steering flush.